They said, King, I can't read it. King, I can't read it. Then old King Belshazzar, he said, whoever reads this writing on the wall for me, I'll put a gold chain about his neck and I'll put him third in charge of my kingdom. Who can read it? I think it was the queen. Said, do you not remember your grandfather Nebuchadnezzar? There was an old man by the name of Daniel that came in and interpreted this dream for him. I believe that he can read it to you. I believe he can tell you what he's saying. He cried out and said, go get Daniel, go get Daniel. And Daniel came walking in and he cried out to Daniel, read it, Daniel, read it. And I believe old Daniel says, hold your shirt, King, I'll read it to you. I'll tell you what God's saying. Keep your shirt on, slow down. I'll read it to you and I'll preach you a message of what God's saying. I believe is what Daniel said. I can only imagine what was going through the minds of the people in the room as Daniel began to interpret the dream. He said, I'm going to preach you a sermon that you'll remember when the stars have been wrung out of their sockets, when the moon has been blown out and the sun has been turned into blood. You will remember Nebuchadnezzar. You should have taken warning, Belshazzar, but you didn't. See, he was warned through his family from his grandfather down, but he never paid attention. He didn't heed to what God was saying. Death is not without warning, and your death is not without warning. You say, preacher, I'll get ready in the 11th hour. Well, you might die at 10:30. I dare anyone in this room to say they have enough life that they'll walk out that door before this service closes. If you can say that, you're a bold person. Because the Bible specifically teaches we have no promise of our next breath. Someone asked me, how far is it from eternity? How far is it to eternity? It's one breath away. You stop breathing, it's all over. That's how far eternity is. His death was not without warning. He cried out, read it, Daniel, read it. I'll give you a chain of gold about your neck. I'll give you a place in the kingdom. I'll make you the Secretary of State. Daniel said, keep your appointments for your political party. I don't need all of that. But I'm going to preach to you, thank God today, that we have preachers that will stand up and condemn the world. Amen?
Amen.
You see, his death was under condemnation. Daniel said, I'll tell you what it means. Thou hast been weighed in the balance and found wanting. Reference those words out in verse 25 in Greek and Hebrew, and you'll see that's exactly what God told old Belshazzar. He said, you've been weighed in the balance and you've been found wanting. While I draw this fleeting breath, while my eyelids close in death, when I see thee on the throne, he said, help me, God, forbid that I die. And as a man dying recalled, as he drove his car through the mountains, crying out, I'm going down, I'm going down. I'm going down the mountain and I can't find my brake. Listen to me, everybody under the sound of my voice is going to go down the mountain and you'll need a brake. You'll need that break. While I draw this fleeting breath, when my eyelids close in death, when I see thee on thy throne, judgment throne, rock of ages cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee. That's what you're going to need when you come down that mountain. Rock of ages cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee. His death was sudden. Old Belshazzar's death was sudden that night. While Belshazzar was asleep, you say, I'm going to live to be an old person, and then I'm going to die with a long, lingering illness. How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that you won't die in a car accident? How do you know that if you die in an accident that you'll have the proper thinking to make the right decision towards God? Today is the day of salvation, for tomorrow may never come. I read of a preacher preaching a message one night. He went back to a man and he begged this man to come to accept Christ. The man responded, "I'm all right, I'm all right." After the preacher finished the service and he came back up to the pulpit, they had a dismissal prayer. This man's worldly old lofty wife come walking by. "Why are you trying to embarrass my husband? He's all right." "He's all right. Why are you trying to embarrass him?" They walked out of the church house with their nose up in the air. 10 days later, this preacher got a phone call. "I need you to come over to the house and I need you to pray for this man." Preacher goes up to the door and she's standing there. "Come in, preacher, come in. Pray for my husband. He's died." Preacher replied, "He's all right. He's all right. You remember 10 days ago when I tried to lead you to Christ, when I tried to lead him to Christ and he cried, 'I'm all right.' But preacher, he wasn't dying then." Goes into the bedroom, kneels down. "Pray for me, preacher. I'm dying." "No, you're all right. You're all right. Remember 10 days ago when I tried to lead you to Christ? But I wasn't dying then." Don't put off the call of God. You never know when the death angel may come and knock. Belshazzar's death was sudden. Belshazzar's death was sudden. Another illustration that I have for you. Preacher in his home, and his wife said, "I need you to go talk to this man. He's very ill, he's very sick." Preacher said, talking to his wife, "Honey, you know he's an infidel. You know he's an atheist and he don't believe in God." She said, "I know, but I need you to go talk to this man." He goes to the man's house, walks into the bedroom, and he asked the man laying on the bed, "Are you afraid of dying?" The man on the bed said, "You've known me your whole life. I've never been afraid of anything." The preacher leaned out into the man's ear and said, "What about the judgment?" "What about the judgment? Oh, I've never thought about the judgment. It's appointed unto man once to die, then after that, the judgment." His death was in fear. Oh, how the devil makes a coward out of you when it's all gone. Amen. How the devil makes a coward out of you when it's all gone. Are you afraid to die? Are you afraid to die? My prayer is that you'll be ready when the bell rings. My prayer is that when the death angel comes, you'll be prepared and not miss the gates, entering the eternal portals of glory. Oh, Belshazzar was a pleasure seeker. Belshazzar died the way he lived. His death was not unannounced. God warned him. His death was sudden. How's your relationship this morning with Jesus Christ? Lord, I've done my best this morning. Lord, help us, teach us not to seek things, the pleasure of the world, but put our full faith and trust and confidence in you and an eternal home in heaven.